if we don't have international journalists actually doing their job, which is holding power to account,
yeah,
we're going to run roughshod over the whole world. And you think climate change is bad now? It's going to get 10 times worse, which is why the Julian Assange case still is vital, immensely vital to our society. And we are not letting up on it. And we have to make sure that Julian is brought home safely to Australia. And so we are going to get an update from his brother, Gabriel Shipton.
All right. So I have to say, I love saying this. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, guys.
So tell me, what time is it? Tell me what time it is there.
It's 11:30 in the morning.
11:30 tomorrow morning. As I love it, it's like you're a man in the future. This is so. It never gets old to me.
I'm a big. Let me preface this with I am a big classic Simpsons fan, and so of course I always loved that Bart versus Australia episode from the mid-90s.
Do you even know what he's talking about, Gabriel?
He might.
I think, is that where he gets the boot or something?
Yes,
like
that? Thank you.
God's sake. Oh my God.
That was a great episode. I really love that. I just love the joke about how, and it's actually 11:45 next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So they are implying that they're like a week
no,
ahead
but
of
he's
us.
Tomorrow. It's fascinating to me.
It certainly is. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you again.
And obviously,
for those you too, guys.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know, Gabriel is Julian Assange's brother. We were the first to put on the Assange telethon, and
we did an Assange telethon, and then Gabriel reached out to me, and then when Gabriel and his father John were in the States recently on a tour, speaking and doing actions about Julian and his case, and so now I know you're back home in Australia. How was your trip overall here? Like, how did you find it?
Yeah, I think it was incredible. The upwelling of support we saw as we moved across the country was, it was just, we weren't. I wasn't expecting that sort of reception and that sort of, all the attention we got from the media and all the people who came out to hear us talking and hear the people we were presenting with speak. So yeah, I think it was. It was an incredible, incredibly successful in that sense. And we traveled all the way across the states. Started down there in Miami with you, and then then we went up the East Coast. The New York event was had to expand capacity multiple times. We had a huge event in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which was great. But I think, as sort of, Julian's member of Julian's family, you see like the sort of a lot of the negative media about Julian, a lot of the prosecution originates in the US. So my first instinct is that, we weren't going to have a great reception there, and it was going to be very combative, a lot of the places we went. But it wasn't like that at all. It was just a lot of people showing support, showing that they understood the repercussions for this case, what it means for their rights, and how that concerned them.
And I think you got to see something very important, which is we do not live in a democratic republic because our government does not represent us. So the things that they do, i.e. prosecuting your brother, are not things that the majority of people here support. Our government does not represent us. It represents corporations. And so you actually now got to see that what you would have thought would have been based on what our country is doing as a country. And you saw that that's not what the people here are supportive of. Did you see anybody out there? There's nobody on the other side. Have you ever seen anybody on the other side, that a regular person at an event saying, yes, prosecute Julian? Yeah, there is no other side here. Who supports that?
Yeah, that's right. No, and I think, even you're seeing, just recently you saw the spokesman for the State Department getting grilled, by that AP journalist, and he was, he couldn't even come out and say, I support this prosecution. There's nobody, not even in the administration, and they're all deflecting, like it's a hot potato. deflecting the questions back to the Department of Justice. Like, but nobody wants to talk about it. You know, Blinken was asked about it in France, and he said, "Oh, it's a matter for the Department of Justice." You know, so I think it's very, very. You know, there's nobody supporting this prosecution, even in the administration.
And yet it goes on. It's like this. It's like a rudderless prosecution. It just keeps going on, and nobody seems to be like advocating for it anymore. I haven't heard anybody in the administration even mention it. I'm not hearing them talk about this. Who's really pursuing this? Do you? I mean, I don't see anything about it other than we hear how the hearings are going over in the UK, but we don't hear anybody here talking about like, yes, let's go do that. Nobody's talking like that.
No, I mean, the last person, I think the last, was there was a national security DOJ official. I think Demandi was his name. He was the last person to actually say that, you know, we're continuing with this prosecution. And that was back in February when the national security DOJ was still headed up by a Trump appointee. Right. So that, you know, that's that sort of that has carried on from the Trump administration and now has been taken up by the Biden administration and their DOJ. So, you know, I think, you know, it could so easily be let go at this stage. You know, I don't think nobody supports it. So, you know, right. It's just a colossal embarrassment, you know, at the moment.
Yeah, well, we're in the process of withdrawing from another colossal embarrassment, so we're not really a stranger to colossal embarrassments here. We see somebody in the comment is asking how Julian is doing. I mean, obviously, people don't know Julian is still being held in Belmarsh. Could you talk a little bit about that? Like how? I mean, I know the ridiculousness of how he's being held, like maximum security and all this nonsense. But if you could talk about like how he's doing right now, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, he's you know, he's not, you know, he has it's you know, he has good and bad days, you know, and at the moment, you know, it's pretty tough in that prison. Obviously it's a maximum security prison. You know, it has the most violent criminals in the UK are all there. You know, Julian is a gentle intellectual. And you know, who has committed no crime, but he is you know, he's there amongst these all these convicted you know, murderers and that sort of ilk of criminal. So he is amongst them, and he hasn't even been sentenced. He's a remand prisoner. Yeah. So that's one of the things when you go and see him there. You know, you see, you know, you hear other families planning how they're going to. You know, how they're going to celebrate, you know, even if it's a 16-year sentence or an 8-year sentence, they all know that, you know, one day their loved one will, you know, will be back with them and they will be able to celebrate and do the things as a family again. But for us, we don't even know, you know, when this will end. There's no, Julian's hasn't been sentenced. It's just ongoing and ongoing. And, you know, just last week we had another hearing, and then there'll be another hearing in October. So it's just going to keep going and going and going with no end in sight. The prison, they, you know, when you go in, you know, even his child, 3-year-old child, they search inside their mouths. You know, it's just, you know, it's just this another form of punishment being exacted on Julian for his publishing work, basically.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're speaking with Gabriel Shipton, Julian Assange's brother. I think it's, again, a case that they're just trying to hang on to as long as they possibly can. But considering that the key witness in this case, don't want to mispronounce his name, I'm not going to, but clearly was, you know, in a sort of an ops situation, they have no case. And
that's right, it's unraveling. Yeah, it's totally unraveling. Torderson, he's an Icelandic man. He was, you know, basically, you know, their key witness in this part of the charge that it's allowing them to frame Julian as you know, they're trying to claim, oh, Julian's not a journalist. So there's this computer intrusion charge, that was so weak and was absolutely torn apart in the hearings. And so they issued another indictment trying to bolster this charge. And so they included Torterson's witness statements. Now, Torterson, the Obama administration found that they couldn't use Torterson because his statements because he was so compromised.
Yeah, he's such a not credible witness.
Yeah, he's a convicted fraudster. He's convicted of abusing boys online. He's served multiple jail sentences. But under the Trump administration, they were so desperate to keep this going that they took this compromised witness and used his statements to bolster this conspiracy to commit computer intrusion charge. So now Torterson has recanted all those statements, saying he lied, and provided chat logs to prove that what he told the investigators were actually lies. And so this whole thing is unraveling, and it just shows how weak this case actually is. That they've had to rely on testimony, that's provably false, to continue on the case. So it's just unraveling, and now they're, in this upcoming appeal, they've made it about, attacking the Julian state of mind again. So they're not talking about, their witness the witness statements that they used that are false, but they're going after Julian's, the neuropsychiatrist who concluded that Julian would, commit suicide if he was extradited.
Right.
Yeah, and that is one of the lamest things I have ever heard. They're basically they're fishing at this point is what they're doing.
They've been fishing the
whole time. But this idea that suicidal competency, it gets to the point now where you're really making a mockery of the justice system. But our justice system in this country is
their justice system's also compromised.
But the UK kind of just adheres to what we
apparently
want. And
apparently
that's been how
so.
it's been for a long time. And so
it's disappointing, actually. I'm not surprised, but it's disappointing. I was disappointed in January with that, what's her name, with Barrister, with that ruling.
We've had obviously people, call the Department of Justice hotline. And if you guys want to call again, 202-353-1555.
It's scrolling on the bottom, guys. So call, it's a recording. Tell them to drop the case against Julian Assange. I mean, honestly, it's the least everybody can do.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a very vital and important case that isn't going away. No. And we have to do everything that we can because of the precedent that it does set.
And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. And when things are wrong, you need to let it go because it's wrong. And yeah, there are big or huge implications that I don't think people have been taking seriously enough. And I've been screaming this from forever. I can even remember about the importance of this in terms of what this means for our First Amendment in this country. This is a massive, massive infringement on our First Amendment in this country. But that aside, this is now a human rights issue because you're talking about someone that's being held without due process.
And even if Julian is able to get his freedom, hopefully in the near future, who knows if he'll ever be the same?
No. Oh, good God, no. The trauma from this is not something that you just. I just don't see how that could. There's no reimbursing him for this. Like there's no reparation for this, and that's the thing. It's like, what can they do?
Yeah, and the most important voices that are out there that have voiced their concerns about it, when you think about like Daniel Ellsberg and obviously Gabriel, if you're aware of what happened to Steve Dozinger, a person who first time an attorney was ever sued because of
the Chevron case, about that he won the thing. The case, right? He's a whistleblower.
So it's the same. It's the weaponization of the DOJ. But either by corporate interests or national security interests. So it's very, very similar.
Yeah, it's whistleblowers being abused is what it is, and it's whistleblowers being abused by the system that they were whistleblowing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And we cannot tolerate that. Like, that's just not acceptable.
Is there anything that you would recommend that we do going forward that can help? I mean, obviously we've done as much as we can, but we'll keep doing more. So there's really no limit to what we will do. Press freedom, our First Amendment rights, they are so vital, but also, Julian is a hero, and you can't really say enough about, what he did to expose criminal torture, war crimes, crimes against humanity. And of course, he pissed off Hillary Clinton.
Well, and that's really what we're talking about here.
So this is, again, he's somebody who really...
well, and he pissed off the military-industrial complex.
That's true. And so the fact that he was willing to do what he did, knowing full well what may have lay ahead, is all the more reason why he is a hero.
He's a hero.
So, Gabriel, if there is anything that we can do to continue to assist in this effort,
how can we support?
Keep expressing yourselves, keep talking about it. I think you're doing, it's amazing the work that you do. From the telephone to the event that you set up for us, and continuing the conversation. I think that's very, very, very important. And one really interesting part about this case is all the publications that Julian's being prosecuted for. Have actually. They've changed policy in the US. So, the Afghan war diaries that were published, that they exposed all the sort of the way the war is fought in Afghanistan, and now that war is over. Part of the cable set, led to the end of the Iraq war, because the Iraqi government wouldn't agree to give American soldiers immunity from prosecution. And then, detainee reports from Guantanamo. Guantanamo is almost, I don't think that they're down to the last inmates there, and that's almost closed. So
they're never going. They're never letting those people go. Those people are going to that will stay open as long as those people stay alive. And then maybe when those people there are dead, maybe then they'll close it. But those people are never being freed ever. That's the I have again, I got to reference my bow.
Yeah, there's a thing in this country where we simply cannot accept the military-industrial complex cannot accept bad press. So they're going to do, much like they're doing right now with Afghanistan, they're going to do anything and everything that they can in order to keep the endless war machine going, because that's the biggest driver of our economy, unfortunately. And so even if Biden does hold firm and brings the troops home from Afghanistan, there will be immense pressure put on him to start a war in Venezuela.
Oh, yeah.
To start a war in Cuba.
Well, and don't forget, we're still drone bombing how many countries?
Correct.
I mean, it's endless. It's endless. Yeah. Like it just doesn't ever seem to end.
Yeah. And so we are in a position right now where not just the importance of this case, but recognizing that this case is being done more or less for one specific reason. This is basically a shot across the bow to investigative journalists, whistleblowers, and publishers. Do not F with the military-industrial complex, because this is what's coming for you if you get caught.
And this is punishment for that, people. You're watching it.
100%.
And we need to just keep everybody aware that that is what this is. There's no other thing here. There's no legitimate case to be had here. It's ridiculous that we're still watching this. It's just really, it's absurd at this point that we're still watching this. And it's very frustrating. And I like, my heart breaks for you and Julian and his family and everybody, and Stella and your dad. And it's ridiculous that you're dealing with this.
So let's keep the conversation going. We send our best to Julian. Obviously, if any new updates come about, we would obviously love to have you come back.
Anytime. Like if you think that there's something and you ever want a platform in South Florida, you just, I'm a text away.
If you also think that there may be an opening where there may be an opportunity for the case to finally break in the right direction. Yeah. That would be wonderful.
Like I feel like it's very feeling hopeless, or not, not helpless, that there's not much we can do. And it's very frustrating. And I feel like we're watching it unfold with very little control of the situation. So I can't imagine what this is like for all of you. And it's very frustrating.
Well, you have your allies down here.
For
100%.
Sure. And I'm sure that Julian does know that. I'm sure people have told him that there are people that fight for him and that stand up for him and that are on his side. And it's really important, I think, that any chance anybody gets
Yeah.
to tell him that, because I think that, I mean, that I don't honestly know how he's been doing as well as he has. And it's just really scary. And
No,
you know, it's just, he is very, very supported on the outside, I think. And I hope he does know that.
And I hope that he does know that, and that is what keeps him going, knowing that he hasn't been forgotten,
No.
that people are still fighting on his behalf, and we will keep fighting until he is free.
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. Yeah, I mean, his strength is amazing. I can't, you know, I'm always amazed at what he's been through and how he's survived, and, you know, how he manages to keep going. And I think, you know, he feeds off the energy, you know, from people like yourselves and you know, everyone else who supports him around the world.
Well, we're more than happy to, like I said, have you back again when
Anytime.
and that time would come, and we will keep fighting on Julian's behalf. Gabriel Shipton, thank you so much for coming on this evening.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Okay.
See you
Bye.
soon, my friend.
Bye, Gabriel.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.